Hi everyone, just a quick check-in with you guys. So we've been doing quite a lot of work like this week. So just rear bumper on that, rear bumper on this one as well actually. So this one's a completed repair now. It's just scuffed on this corner. And the trim there, so that's all officially all been resprayed. Yeah, so we haven't had a huge amount of chance to be doing the restoration work. I'll show you what we have got. So Tig's just next door working on the Mark IV, I'll show you that in a second. This has turned up today. Another XJS, so completely e-coated as per the standard for what we have now in the shop for jobs like this in any case. Another one from Nick over at Classic Engineering. Really good condition, this one as well. So it has got a few waves and ripples, that sort of thing, as per usual. Door's not on yet. Waves and ripples down the side. Body line's obviously not quite right. And there's a bit of welding repair that's been done there that I can see. But looking at the whole car in general, it looks really, really good, this one. You've got to remember, E-coat is essentially bare metal, so I mean, this is basically bare metal with the thinnest layer over the top of it for the corrosion resistance. But yeah, so I mean, basically what we've got here is what we've got, if that makes sense. It looks really good. So yeah, that'll be one of the next ones on the list. I'll show you next door quickly, see how we're getting on through there. Tig, like I said, is just working on the Mark IV. Get this one into paint relatively soon now. And then the Jensen, I don't think this has changed much since I showed you last time. I did start work on the front end. It's lucky that we have these lights in the grille and all that side, because I would have thought without that the bodywork stopped there. It's quite an obvious line all the way along the edges here, but obviously now that I put the lights in, quite clearly the bodywork needs to go much further in that way and all the way along the bottom. Likewise with that just underneath the grille. So yeah, good job that we've got the lights and grills so I can see exactly where the bodywork needs to go to. Yeah, so a little bit more work on that on the front end on this one. Obviously the bonnet is still to go, and then gapping up the edges. So yeah, we're waiting on the hinges for this one at the moment, so we'll see how much we get done on this one this week. Probably going to be on the CSI for the rest of the week. Okay, I'm going to spend a bit of time on these vents today. So this is the way that they seem to fit at the moment. They're not screwed in at the moment, but the fit when they are screwed in is not much better than this, to be honest. Let me try and just replicate that quickly. Hold on. It's hard to do with one hand. There we are. That's about there. So the gaps all the way around are either enormous or non-existent. And then likewise down the sides, they just don't seem to fit very well at all. It's the same as that on the white one that we've just completed as well. Obviously we didn't do any bodywork with that side of things, so I think that's just how they are from the factory essentially. But to us, it's not good enough really. So I'm going to do a bit of work on these. I did speak to the owner yesterday, actually came around to have a quick look at the car. I don't think he's hugely concerned about them, but I don't like it. So we're going to spend a bit of time tidying these up. I'm not going to make them absolutely perfect, but I will make them better than they would have been, hopefully anyway, from the factory. Again, it's all a bit of guesswork in some respects, because I don't know exactly what these cars were like when they were first out. It'd be lovely to see that, you know, one of these cars straight from the factory sort of thing, so I know what I'm trying to replicate really. But obviously when we're working with, I haven't got anything out there, but when we're working with the modern day cars all the time, you know, the gaps are absolutely inch perfect, well, millimetre perfect. It becomes a little bit harder to figure out exactly what we're trying to replicate on something like this really. But yeah, that to us is not good enough anyway, so spend a bit of time on this today, see what we can do. Okay, so we're back on the Mark IV panels again. Tig's doing the front and rear bumpers at the moment. Just getting these last bits ready for primer. Both of these had quite substantial paint damage on them, so you've seen we've ripped all of that off. Mostly back to bare actually, by the looks of things. Didn't realise on the front bumper as well, there's a big old chunk missing. Not sure how we missed that on the initial inspection. Didn't really look at it in much detail, but in any case, we will plastic weld a new piece back onto that off a different bumper entirely. Just fill that in. Likewise with the rear bumper then, all of this paint peeling on this edge and can see it on the camera. It's quite bubbly. So we'll have to strip all that off again. Basically start from fresh again on that bumper as well. Then I think, for the most part then, the rest of the panels are in fairly decent condition. So we've had a fair bit of work to do on these areas in terms of old previous paintwork. But we're getting there. Okay, so we've done the rough fill on this now. It's looking a lot better than it was. I think I'm still going to run a little bit of seam sealant along these back edges, just underneath the light there. You can still see them. But obviously there's the transition between the two as well, so I think a bead of seam sealant will probably be the best way to do that, because it'll protect it as well. But yeah, it's coming along quite nicely. Still got to do the top edge as well, and the finishing touches. Obviously this is still all the rough fill. Same with the vent on the side then, so we've got the shape a lot better than it was, but still need to do the fine finishing touches with the filler. Yeah, I've replicated that gap as much as I can around the edges. Still a bit more to go with the filler work, like I said, but I haven't done too much on this because obviously we've still got to do the door on this side in any case. But yeah, compared to how it was, it's a lot better. So we've done the repairs on the Mark IV bumper. You'll remember there was a big chunk missing out the bottom there. So we've just plastic welded a new piece in from a different bumper entirely actually, and then obviously got the shape back along that bottom edge there. Just a couple of small chunks missing on that side, I believe it was. Yeah, that's both front and rear bumpers pretty much ready to go now. So you'll remember again, they were quite bad. The paintwork on these was quite, it was crazing, it was peeling, cracking off, all sorts it was doing really. So it was applied quite thickly previously, and it was just failing. So we have gone back to bare for most of the bumpers actually, as you can see. So yeah, they should be ready to go into primer next. Just briefly laid out on the floor as well the extra bits and pieces that we've still got left to go, just so we can see what we've got left really. The boot's not looking in too bad a condition. I think the arches and spoiler side skirts, they all should be good. Bonnet has had some previous work done on it. Don't know if it's been done by another body shop or by just a private individual, not sure, but it's clearly had some sort of primer put on there and a guide coat. So we'll have to have a bit of a sand on that, see exactly what we've got, but I think it is in better condition than the red one that we've got, so we probably will use that. Yeah, a lot of pieces with this car, quite fiddly, obviously because of the body kit as well, but yeah, we're getting there. So hopefully we'll have everything that needs to be in primer fairly soon now, over the next few days. Front and rear bumper, etc. Just show you next door in the booth quickly. Tig's been working on the XJS. So, we've got all the parts loaded up in the booth for this one. I'll just turn that light off quickly because it's going to be flashing otherwise. 2 seconds. There we go. Yeah, XJS loaded up into the booth. All the parts, doors, boot, bonnet is there. So it's quite a tight space. I haven't got much space to work around, but it's just going into our Noble Classic epoxy primer. So this is the system that we use nowadays. It's the basis for everything, essentially. So, you know, we've got an e-coated car here. It doesn't need to be scuffed, doesn't need to be prepped in any way other than a decent panel wipe. So we've already panel wiped it once before masking it up. We're going to now panel wipe it another 2 times, just to be absolutely thoroughly certain that there's no oils, residue, anything like that on there left over from the e-coating process. We have masked this one up because we're doing it slightly differently to the way that we did the Jensen. Inside and outside panels on the bonnet, doors will be done, etc. And we are going to epoxy the front end here as well, because this will be painted body colour. It's such an expansive body colour, body part, sorry. Not much of this is actually visible when the engine's back in. Big old V12 lump. But we'll make it nice anyway. So yeah, 2 coats of our epoxy, straight onto the e-coat. Like I said, quite a tight booth space, so it's going to be a bit tricky to get around here, but should be fine. See how we go. Back in the booth again, next day actually. Eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed when I did my little walk round, I didn't even notice myself, my little walk round when I had the containers there. We had the wrong hardener for what we needed for this instance, so it's a fantastic system. I'll explain more in detail as the process goes along, but basically we had the 3rd stage rather than the 1st. So yeah, things happen, not ideal, but obviously we didn't realise that until I was pretty much ready to spray, and we had actually mixed up the first layer as well, so sorry, the first batch, and it was only when I got onto the second batch that I realised we hadn't quite got enough. So we ended up painting the boot and just the one door. I've obviously masked that up now, just so that initial batch wasn't wasted, and to be fair, that's given us a bit more space in the booth now as well, so it was very, very cramped before with the boot lid as well, but we've got a bit more space to walk around the car now, so they always say things happen for a reason, let's say that. But anyway, we've got the correct hardener now, we are pretty much ready to go. I'm going to pop the camera on my head and we'll video the whole process. 2 coats, I'll only show the one, but we'll do it in real time for once, so you guys can see what's involved. I'll have to figure out my way around the car as we go. It is a little bit tight still, but this is only the primer stage. Forgot to mention as well, Tig's done a fantastic job of masking up as always. I'm probably getting used to it now, to be fair, because I didn't even realise yesterday until I was looking back at the videos and photos, but really good. Exactly what I asked for, so yeah, well done Tig. I'll go and say it to you in person now as well. Really happy. Anyway, let's get some epoxy on this, go from there. Right, contrary to what I just said a couple of seconds ago in the voiceover there, after reviewing the footage today, it's 15 minutes worth of spraying when I was just doing the first coat on the car here. So I have decided I am going to actually speed the footage up in this video. Some of you guys might have seen already, I have uploaded, by the time this one comes out, I will have uploaded the entire clip, the entire 15 minutes worth, raw, unedited, no music, just as a separate side piece, because I know some of you guys do like to watch this going down in real time. But for this particular video, I think it's just a little bit too long, so I am going to speed it up ever so slightly. We've already got quite a lot of video footage for this week, so speed it up, pop it in there now, and yeah, if you guys have already seen it, do feel free to skip through until this is ended. It is just exactly the same footage, but speeded up. 2 coats of our Novel for Classic epoxy then. So this is the first layer that goes on absolutely everything of our projects, these classic car restorations. It's basically the foundation that we use for everything to go on top of. I've said this before in previous videos, but all of the bodywork goes on top of this. It's a waterproof membrane, fantastic corrosion resistance. You won't get anything better than this. So yeah, that's what our bodywork goes on top of. We don't do any bodywork over the top of bare metal. That's what causes issues. 2 coats on the whole entire car, inside and outside of the panels as well. I've just unmasked that door we did yesterday. I've just unmasked it. Everything else is fresh. Yeah, you can get a decent idea of what this car is like now. Like I said previously, it's looking very, very good. So we've got the ripples on that side there. Obviously from the welding work repairs, just a tiny, tiny skim of filler in there, but look at the front wings. And the bonnet. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I can't say much more about this one, just look at it. Really good, fantastic body shell. There are issues, don't get me wrong, there's a few issues. Obviously we've not got the doors on yet, so I don't know how the doors line up. And it will need a skim of filler to get it absolutely dead straight and perfect, but as a starting point, phenomenal, really good. The doors are actually probably the worst that I've seen at the moment, is the doors themselves. You know, we've got a few ripples, a couple of dings on the doors, but it's nothing compared to what a car of this age could be. So yeah, excuse the fact I'm sounding out of breath, guys. I am. It's been a bit of a trying one in the booth. Yeah, quite a lot of tight areas to get around to, and to be honest, it takes it out of you somewhat. So it's not as easy as some people make it look. Yeah, really happy with this. Okay guys, I think that's enough for one video. So that is the XJS now fully into its epoxy. 2 coats of epoxy. We did 2 coats on the inside of the door panels, inside of the bonnet, inside of the boots and engine bay as well. I think I said previously, technically it's not necessary. It's really not needed in a lot of these areas because it's already got the e-coating. But it's just the better way of doing things, so we went ahead and did that. I had the 2 coats loaded up already. We had enough to make the 2 in any case, so just went ahead and did it anyway. We do want 2 on the external panels, but yeah, not necessarily needed for the internal. Anyway, regardless, we've just started marking out the areas that we need to work on the most. Had a bit of a think about how we were going to tackle this one, to be honest, because it's so straight and so good that it's almost a tricky one to figure out exactly how to do it when it's at this stage. You don't want to be sanding off this epoxy where you can help it. We don't really want to sand it off if we don't need to. We want to keep as much of a build there for the corrosion protection as possible. So we've just highlighted some of the areas which have clearly got areas where we do need to work on. It's quite a large low on the bonnet there. Various little dips around the car. That door's not on correctly just yet. No, there is the bonnet. But yeah, highlighted the areas. We're going to spot fill those basically, and then go on to the next stages. I'll explain more as the process goes on, but I think in this instance we're going to spot fill things. It will go into poly later on down the line, so at that stage we'll be blocking the entire car, and that's really when we're going to find the biggest areas, or anything that we've missed. Even the little areas that we might have missed at this stage, we'll pick them up later on down the line. But as far as it goes for now, that's where I'm going to leave you guys. Catch you next week.